But this is the moment that I knew Jesus was real. This is the moment that he literally visited me in my room and saved my life. This is the moment that I felt his tangible presence. It's something that I've never ever felt before. It's something that, um, as a kid growing up, I remember I felt like I was forced to grow up. I was forced to be an adult at an early age. I had a lot of childhood trauma that I didn't know until later on in life. I had things happen to me that no other child should go through. I can specifically remember there'll be nights where I'll go to sleep, and this will happen maybe 5 to 6 times a week. I'll just go to sleep in the night and I'll just wake up in the middle of the night every night, just crying and crying to God and asking him why. Like, why is this going on with me? Why is this going on in my life? But I never really found an answer to it. But I remember it affected me so much, and I didn't speak to anyone about this. I'm the only child, and I didn't even speak to my parents about this. I remember I had friends in school that I would put on this face that I would always be happy, but inside I was crying out. I was always sad and depressed, and these feelings followed me throughout my whole life until a couple of months ago when Jesus saved my life. I always felt like something was missing in my life growing up as a child. I never really felt love. I never felt love from my parents, from my family, from anyone. So I felt like I was searching for love. Even at an early age, I was just searching for something that I didn't know what it was, but I was just searching. But I do remember being exposed to God at an early age. In my household, we practice Hinduism, pagan practices, and occult practices. So I started with that, and I was so into it. I remember going to temple every Sunday. I remember even during the week, I'll be doing these offerings and these prayers to these entities, these gods, and they would give me what I want. They would make me feel better as a kid. They would make me feel like I was doing something. So I was exposed to that supernatural and that spiritual lifestyle at an early age. But I always felt like still something was missing. And when I continued these practices, it was filling that void, whatever was going on in me. Whatever I was feeling, it was filling that hole. But it filled that hole temporarily, because later on in life, I felt the effects of what I was practicing as a kid till now. But as I look back on that, I know the devil was like planting seeds in my life. He was planting seeds in my mind, and whatever I was going through, he was just sitting there planting the seeds, waiting for it to sprout, because he knew what I was going through. He knew that the way I was feeling, I was searching for something. And that's when he came in and swooped in and introduced me to that lifestyle of spirituality in the spiritual realm, and exposing me at an early age, because he saw I was into it and I was dedicated to these practices. I was dedicated to worshiping these gods and doing these rituals and doing these offerings, because again, it made me feel good, and it was filling that hole in my heart at the time. So the moment I got exposed to that lifestyle, I wanted to know more. I wanted to dive deeper into this. And this was me being a kid. I was probably introduced to that at the age of like 6 to 7, and I can still remember everything that I was doing. So from the age of 6 to 7 till a couple of months ago, I was practicing all of those practices. That's what introduced me to that lifestyle, and I wanted to learn more and more and do more and more. Some of the first things I got into was worshiping the lowercase g god Kali in Hinduism. And I remember doing offerings to her, and I would see people manifest into this god. They would give me readings. They would give me things that I was asking for. There's a specific example. I remember one time going to this temple, and there was a girl in front of me, and she manifested into this god, into Kali. And I remember her telling me everything about my life, things that I didn't tell anyone at the time. No one knew this. No one knew these things about me. And I remember feeling like, yo, this is God. Like, this is actually God, because how would anyone else know this? Only God can know this. But now I know at the time, there's demons that follow you throughout your life the moment you're born, and they'll follow you through your whole life and through every single thing you do. And they will tell these entities, they will tell these lowercase gods like what's going on in your life, and then they'll tell you, and they'll manipulate you into thinking that they're God, and they're really not God. But again, I remember going to this temple and seeing this happen, and I had to offer her certain offerings, and some of the offerings were fruit, flowers, and then it got really weird because I had to offer her liquor and cigarettes and sometimes blood, like animal sacrifices. And I remember doing animal sacrifices onto her in order to get what I wanted. But at the time, I thought I was doing everything right. I thought I was doing what God wanted me to do. I thought these were the real gods of the world and of the universe and of everything, but it really isn't. And being exposed to this, it just drew me in, it pulled me in. These are all seeds that the devil was planting at the time. He knew that he can bring my mind into that. He can manipulate my mind and control my mind by giving me what I wanted at the time. So in my house and in my room, I would have all of these idols. I would pray to them every single day. I would get these weird dreams. I remember every single night I would have sleep paralysis. I would have sleep paralysis so many times. Maybe every other night I would experience sleep paralysis. There would be specific times that I would wake up in sleep paralysis and I would see these gods, these entities just standing there, just watching me. And I would get so scared, but I would try to make my mind think that it's right and these are the real gods. And I would make my mind think that whatever is going on, it's good. But I know now, whatever happened, whatever was going on, it's not good. It wasn't good at all. These are all demons. These are all fallen angels. But fast forward later on in life, like 18, 19, I was still doing these practices and I felt powerful. I felt like nothing can touch me. No one can stop me. No one can touch me. I was getting every single thing I wanted, from money, cars, everything, girls, all of these things. All of these things I was getting. And it just came so easy to me. I would just ask these gods and these entities what I wanted, and I would do certain offerings and certain rituals, and I'll just get it right away. And I didn't think that whatever I was doing was wrong. But one of the craziest part about these things I was practicing is that we would never really worship Jesus. I was never really exposed to him, but they spoke about him. They used him. They used the Bible sometimes to manipulate the way they think and the way we were doing things. I can remember at some times that I would get dreams that these entities, these gods, they would visit me in my dreams, and they'll tell me literally, if I don't continue these rituals, if I don't continue these practices, that they'll take my life. They'll haunt me down and do whatever they can to take my life. And I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to turn. And I didn't know about Jesus at the time. I didn't know that these demons and these spirits, they bow to him. And he's the only thing that can stop them. He's the only real God of this world, the real God of this universe, that everything bows to him. I didn't know that at the time. So I had to continue what I was doing. I had to continue my sacrifices, my rituals, my offerings, and all of these things that I was doing. But there's something that I used to do that took me a while to forgive myself for, was I would speak down on Jesus when I knew about him. I would speak down on his life and who he was. I would always tell people that he wasn't real, that he was just a man, because he wasn't doing these things. He wasn't giving people what they wanted. And I didn't know at the time that he does give you what you want. He gives you what you need. And I used to talk down on him and say that we can all be like Jesus. We can all be like God. I used to walk around and tell people that we're all gods, because the things that I was doing, I felt like I was a god. I felt like I can do what God was doing. I felt like I was doing what Jesus was doing. And it wasn't true. It was all lies planted by the enemy. Everything that I experienced as a child till a couple of months ago, it was all plans of the enemy to make me feel like I was a god, and it backfired on me. Because of these practices, it made me depressed, anxious my whole life. I always felt like I had to do more. I had to impress people, or it felt like whatever I was doing was never enough for anyone. Even for myself, I never felt like I was doing enough for myself. And because of that, major depression came in, to the point where I've tried multiple times to take my own life, and I never really thought about the consequences of that. I never really had help into that. It's so funny because the moments now, I'm now thinking about it, but it's so funny that those times that I tried to take my life, none of these gods were there. None of these entities or spirits that I used to do these offerings for and rituals for, that I was so dedicated to, they were never there. They were never there to help me or save me the moment that I wanted to end everything. But it did get to a point where I felt like it just felt repetitive. Within the last couple of years, when I was practicing these things, I got into Freemasonry, into even more deeper occult stuff, and I just felt like something was off, but I didn't know what was off. I didn't know what I was thinking. So I would just continue to distract my mind and just continue with these practices, continue these rituals and everything else that I was doing. But these things are wrong, because I remember I was using crystals. I was using certain books. I was doing research on Aleister Crowley. I was doing what he was doing, his practices. I had all of his books. I had thousands of dollars worth of crystals, and I would use these crystals to try to like manifest things and draw things out of my life, not knowing that crystals are portals. They invite spirits into your environment. I had evil eyes, all of these things. And an evil eye does not protect you from evil. It's a contradiction. How can evil protect you from evil? It just makes no sense. And I didn't know this at the time. I was so manipulated. My mind was so manipulated by all of these things that I was doing. And I ended up worshiping the creation and not the creator. Jesus created these things. God created these things. And why not go to him instead of using a rock or a crystal or evil eyes or any of these things? So if you're out there using these crystals, using these books, and just trying to tap into that spiritual realm, just know that it's not the realm that you want to get into. It's accessing the spiritual realm illegally. And when you're accessing the spiritual realm illegally, any demon, any spirit can do whatever they want to you because you're not supposed to be there, so you have no protection. Everything you're doing is illegal in that realm. And spirits can follow you throughout your whole life. Demons can follow you and manipulate your life and bring these people into your life that aren't for you, and they can make your life a literal living hell. But this is the moment that I knew Jesus was real. This is the moment that he literally visited me in my room and saved my life. And this is the moment that I felt his tangible presence. It's something that I've never ever felt before. It's something that really showed me who the true God is, the capital G, the real God. And I always believed that this moment had to happen. Everything in my life led up to this moment because I felt like if I was exposed to Jesus at an early age, if I was following Christianity, I knew myself and I knew how I was. And I know that I would be drawn away from it and I wouldn't have followed it, or I wouldn't have dug deep into it like I am now, because I always wanted instant gratification. I always wanted what I wanted at that time and not wait and not think about the consequences of having it. So here's what happened. I remember going to a meditation that night. This was in February, early February, I believe. And I was going into a deep meditation. I used to always astral project every single night. I would leave my body and visit these spiritual realms, these dimensions, and I would communicate with entities. They would show me things that, normal people aren't supposed to see. I would be accessing the spiritual realm illegally. I would literally see demons and angels and all of these things whenever I would astral project. So I remember astral projecting that night, and these entities came to me and they kept telling me, they're like, my time here is done. Whatever I did here on this earth is done, and it's time to join them. It's time to be with them. And they were telling me that I need to take my life or just not be here anymore. And when I came back into my body, I always struggled with depression. At the time, I was really depressed. I was really just searching for something. I was searching for, I guess, the meaning of life. And I just felt like everything I was doing was so repetitive and there was no peace. I wasn't feeling peace. I was masking myself. I was masking the pain in my heart, the pain in my mind, the pain of life with drinking and smoking and doing all of these things. I was masking these feelings by doing those things. I remember coming back into my body and being conscious again, and I just felt this darkness in my room. I felt as if something was there, and I felt so depressed at the time. The depression I was feeling, I never felt like that before, and I wanted to just take my life at that moment. And I remember I just felt like I wasn't happy anymore, and it was that time, is this time that I was gonna try to take my life. I was actually gonna do it, and there was no turning back. So I remember I had this elastic resistance band in my room, something like you would lift weights with and work out with. And I remember going to my closet, like there's a door, and I tied it to the closet door and I tied it to my neck. And I know how to tie knots. I tied it like, I did a specific knot that I know wouldn't loose, or there's no coming back from it, basically, the way I tied it. And I remember when I tied it and I leaned over and I attempted to take my own life. The first time I tried it, when I leaned over, I said it sarcastically. I'm like, God, if you're real right now, you see what I'm going through, and if you're real, come save my life. But I said it as a joke. I said it sarcastically. But again, I was thinking that God isn't real and he just forgot me, and it was too deep for me to come back from what I was doing. So I leaned over, and I remember feeling myself going out of consciousness. I felt myself about to pass out, and just, there was no coming back from it. And I said it the second time. I said, God, if you're real, save me right now. And I'm getting these goosebumps again, the same exact ones I got at that moment. I remember when I said, oh my God, this is crazy. I wish you guys could see it. It's crazy. But I remember the second time I said it, I felt like there was something in my room. I saw this light come in my room. It floated in. Like, the room was pitch black when I was doing this thing, when I was attempting. And I saw this light come in my room, a bright light. It was like an orb. And it came into my room and it hit me in my chest. And the moment it hit me, it just hit me like that in my chest. For some reason, I don't know how, but the rope, it loosed and it just cut, or it loosed or something. And I just fell on my bed. I fell forward onto my bed. And when I fell, I don't know what happened or what came over me, but I started crying. I was crying like a baby. I was crying to the point where I didn't realize, but it was like maybe 30, 40 minutes. I was just crying for it. And when I looked up, there was like an entity in my room. It was literally Jesus in my room. I saw the outline of him. I saw everything. And it's hard to really explain what happened, but I didn't believe anymore. I didn't believe like Jesus is real or anything. I just knew it at the time that God is real, and the only God of this world, the only God of this universe, the real capital G God is Jesus, because I saw him that day. I felt him, and I just knew it at the time that it was Jesus. And I knew that he saved my life that day. He literally saved me from dying. He literally saved me from taking my own life and committing one of the biggest sins ever. And from that day on, it just felt like I felt this love that I've never felt before. I felt like I mattered, and I don't know how, the love I felt was indescribable. I never felt that before, not even with my parents, not even with anyone. No one else ever showed me this love, or I never felt this love with anyone before. Like the way I felt the love that night when Jesus encountered me and saved my life. I speak a lot more about my testimony, what exactly happened that night, in my first video. I'm going to show it right here. Just click on it. It's my testimony video, but I explained everything that happened that night. So I just wanted to briefly tell you guys what happened. But I say all these things because I don't want people going down the path that I did. I don't want people to be deep into that spiritual life like I was. I don't want anyone to try to look for answers other than Jesus, other than God. Because if you do that, you go deep down a rabbit hole, like really, really deep. And there's no turning back sometimes. There's people that probably went through the same thing I did and wasn't able to experience Jesus, wasn't able to get saved by God. And they're probably in eternal hell now because of them taking their own life, or just going through what I was going through. And I want you guys to know that whatever you're going through, whatever you think that, if you think that you're so far away from God that he won't save you, just know that he will. Just know that if you really surrender, and if you really surrender your heart and really seek out to him, he'll be there for you. He'll save your life. Because when I cried out to him that night, the second time I cried out, I just gave it all away. I just surrendered, and I just said it. I'm like, God, if you're real, just save me right now. And he did. And I know he can save your life too. If you're deep down this hole, if you're deep into witchcraft, into spirituality, into dark occult practices, just know that he can save you from that. I know how it is, how it feels to want that instant gratification. I know how it feels sometimes feeling alone and feeling lost, but there's hope for you. And that hope is Jesus. Just know that you aren't alone in this battle. You aren't alone going through what you're going through. He sees what you're going through, and he wants your heart. He wants you to surrender with a pure heart. Because I say it all the time, if he can save me, he can save anyone else. I was that person cursing out God. I was that person literally cursing out Jesus and just cursing out people that spoke about him. And he came and he saved me. Everything turned around for me. It was a literal 180 in my life when he saved me, because the same person I was speaking down on, the same person I was cursing out, ended up saving my life. And instead of taking my own life, I just gave it to him. And since that day, a lot has changed in me. My anger went away. My depression went away instantly. My anxiety went away instantly. I stopped smoking. Everything just stopped for me. And I thank him every day for this, because my mind was such in a dark place. My heart was such in a dark place, and he literally saved me from that. So I'm here to expose witchcraft, new age practices, the occult, everything. They cannot grant you eternal life. They give you what you want in the moment, things that you want, but not things that you need. And please remember that this life is temporary. When we leave this world, there's eternity. And we can all step into eternity in an instant second. And you don't want eternal separation from God. Eternal separation from God is hell. That's what hell is. And you have no opportunity to get to God or even speak to him. So just think about the worst place you've ever been in. You're still able to cry out to God or even speak about him or speak to him. But when you're in hell, you can't even cry out to God. You can't even speak to him or anything. You're trapped there for eternity. So just know that you're not alone. Whatever you're going through, you're not alone. I want you guys to know that you're loved. You're cared about by our Heavenly Father, by our God, by the real God of this world and the real God of this universe. And he loves you and he cares for you, and he's calling out for you today. So please surrender your heart. Repent of everything you're doing. Turn around and just put your faith in God. And I promise you, he'll change your life forever. The same way he changed mine, he'll change yours. But I know my job here is to continue to expose the darkness of witchcraft and new age practices. And there's so much more. I'm going to be posting a lot more on this channel about these dark practices and things that they make you think, and things that they can manipulate your mind into you thinking that whatever you're doing is right. So please hit that subscribe button. Please drop a comment, hit that like button. If you guys are going through these same things, if you guys went through these things, please comment down below your story, what you've been through, what you're going through right now, and just know that you're not alone. You are loved by our eternal God. You are loved by our Heavenly Father. And if no one told you today, just know that he loves you, I love you, and you're blessed for just having air in your lungs, oxygen to breathe. Just being here, watching this video, you are blessed because you have life in you, and you're still able to change your life around. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. And remember, you are loved and blessed. So God bless you guys. Take care and see you guys in the next video.